Let's go! How good is LaNorris Sellers? Is he going to light us up yet again? Comment below. Do you have faith in the LSU defense in getting the job done? Okay, so the first thing you must do when you are playing South Carolina is not let Sellers run for first downs. That is easier said than done. But the big thing is not making it easy on him. We want to make him a pocket quarterback. Now, he has been better in the pocket, but you will see right here where Kentucky makes a massive mistake is with their pass rush lane integrity. So all these guys are dropped back deep, so there is no proverbial QB spy. So if that is the case, you have got to relay to your pass rushers that we want to be more conservative in our rush plan. And you will see right here that these guys get very aggressive, way past the pocket, and guess what? Sellers is just going to eat that alive, okay? So now this is not where you want to be, and he is able to pick up this first down. But there is something even bigger that happened on this play, and it's to the bottom of the rush, okay? It is so critical that versus Sellers, you do something called keep your feet, which basically means we want to make sure we stay on our feet. We want to stay upright. This is a lighter rusher, which has its benefits, okay? But you can see 35 is already losing his feet. He is wild. He is out of control. And guess what? He gets put to the ground easily. You're out of the play. You are out of the play. And then one who is twisting around here has to do a better job of staying central, right? You're never getting home versus this when this guard is bringing this guy to the ground. I would prefer you to be right here just to help pick up any rusher, right? If he bails out here, you can get out here. And guess what? He kind of just takes himself out of the rush. It's stupid, okay? So basically, the coverage was good on the back end, but the rush plan up front made little sense. In LSU versus Ole Miss, LSU gave up a few too many runs for first downs on third down. Okay, so 4th and 3. I am okay with letting Sellers beat you like this, okay? I want the ball to be traveling through the air instead of with him feet on ground, okay? Really good stuff. Sellers has just become an even better quarterback, and it's enough for a first down. And then obviously this is just simply inexcusable. It is simply inexcusable that on a zone read right here, there is no contained defender on the pull. It is inexcusable, right? You want to know why Mark Stoops is a dead man walking? It's this. It's this. This is nonsensical. Nonsensical, all right? We prefer him to actually hand the football off because he's probably a better runner than the ball he's actually handing it off to. And one, Rashul Faison is just a really, really, really good running back. Last year, it was Rocket Sanders. He was a thicker thumper type. Faison just has a little bit more explosiveness. You're running a counter GY to the right side. And this is just really, really, really sexy stuff from South Carolina, okay? You're bringing the guard around, and you're bringing the tight end around, okay? So the key block on this play is getting the play side in. We want to wash him out of this fit. We need this guard to come around, kick out right here. We need the tight end to come around, boom. And now we just need Faison to make number 3 miss, and he can do that, okay? LSU's tackling could get sloppy on the second level, so you've got to make sure you bring him down. Alrighty, so when you see this, it's going to be quarterback draw. You just got to know it. All right, 2nd and 8. South Carolina now up by 11. And watch this. The play side in does a good job of slowing this down, forces it to bounce. And this is where A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley have been so big, just running up quickly to fill in the run game, and boom, okay? We mitigate the damage. And this is one thing that LSU struggled with last year versus South Carolina. Of course, Sellers picks up some extra yardage here because he's an absolute tank. But we just want to slow them down. Alrighty, so this right here is one of the best LaNorris Sellers throws. And this is what I would do if I were LSU. I am twisting all game long. And a twist, basically, DT goes out, defensive end goes in, and there's different ways you can obviously run twist, all right? And what's funny about this is Sellers probably thought with the protection here, he's got a tight end chipping and a running back protecting to the backside, that he was actually going to be good, but he doesn't, okay? The guard and the tackle stay with the DT, and the end is coming around here clean, okay? So Sellers steps up. Once again, footwork. Look at that. Good wide base. Boom. And while he's getting absolutely stroked here, boom. Look at that. Look at that. That is really, really, really elite stuff. All the reps we will break down today, this will be the one that is most like what LSU likes to do defensively on third down. So you can see that Kentucky brings out their race car package or their really dime-ish package where they take a DT out and bring an extra defensive back in. So obviously we like to do this with Harold Perkins and then bring in Deshaun Spears and take a DT out of the play. So I'm going to go ahead and just run this from this angle. And while this actually happens, please, please, please make sure you check us out on our Patreon, patreon.com/LSU football. Get you Discord benefits and so on and so on and so on. And you'll see this is what Blake Baker is going to do to Sellers. All right, so this should have actually been a touchdown. This looks like it's a really, really, really bad sack, but I understand why Sellers wanted to see this out. This gets into a Joe Burrow philosophy as well, where third down sacks just aren't as important because if you don't pick it up, you'll punt. I do think when you're in the extended red zone, we definitely don't want to take sacks if we are the offense because, well, that kicks us out of field goal range and a chance to go for it on fourth down. So if you're Sellers in this spot, what I coach, I'm not a coach. What I would coach my offensive guys to do is to be ready for some kind of blitz. There's a lot of what I like to call blitz equity here, okay? So we just talked about a twist, all right? This is a very exotic twist. Normally a twist is done between a play side DT in a 3-tech, which is over the guard, and the defensive end. But this is a twist where it's the nose tackle and a 0 over the center, twisting with what's called, some call it a wide 9, if you will. It just depends on your numbering system. But a wider defensive end, okay? So this end loops around, and guess what? South Carolina is not able to pick it up. So the DT holds the guard or the center here, and then he eats up the offensive guard. Now, you would like to think if you're Sellers that the center is going to be able to pick up this twister, or the running back is going to be able to pick up this twister. But the problem is that the center, you can see the stripe of his helmet, sees that there is a blitz coming right down the hash, okay? And now this defensive end who came from over here is unblocked. Then you would also like to think if you're Sellers that the running back is also here for the looping defensive end. The problem is that from the backside, it looks as if 7 is backing out into coverage. No, he's actually blitzing, okay? And there's something I really like about this blitz. Number one, it's really hard to pick up this blitz. And number two, it's a delayed pressure, right? So I have a faster guy that is not into the rush just yet. So let's just say Sellers were to extend the play or whatever. He's a secondary rusher that could help what I like to call pick up the scraps. So the running back sees that 7 is unblocked, and that leaves the DT unblocked right up the gut. So if you get really exotic versus the South Carolina offensive line, this has been, ask any South Carolina fan, their Achilles heel. It's been this. It's been the offensive line. Because take a look at this. If this gets picked up, I don't know if Sellers is actually getting over to this. Boom. Okay? 3 is walking into the end zone right here. So, another thing. Why I like this twist in particular, and you hear me talk about this all the time. This is why unblocked A-gap pressure is the single most important pressure. Because when you're going up against a quarterback like Sellers, who is probably the hardest quarterback I've ever seen to sack. I mean, he really is difficult to bring down. It's so much easier for him to squirt out of an unblocked pressure coming from the edge, whether it's him stepping up or stepping this way. But if the guy is coming right down your throat, that's a big pause. Uh, you've got to go backwards, right? You can't score it out this way. You can't score it out this way. You can't score it out forward. You just kind of have to eat this. And instead of this being a touchdown, it is a loss of a pretty huge gain, and now it's 4th and Spartanburg at midfield. So this will be a part of what they're going to do, a little RPO action. They're going to try and put our second-level defenders in conflict. You can keep it, you can run it, or you could just throw it into the flat right here. It's a good piece of play calling. You know, Shula, their OC, has been under as much heat as LSU's offensive brain trust. So this was probably one of his better called game, and 87 does love to hurdle. Here's another variation of that play. No tight ends on the field. You have 2 running backs out here, and you have quite a few options for Sellers to throw to. He could throw into the flats, and this is probably a pretty big gain. You could read this corner. If he goes out on the wheel, guess what? You have this guy right here wide open. It's very difficult to defend. And one other thing you see is, look at how crunched in all these defenders are, because South Carolina was able to establish a good run game with Faison, right? So you see all these people committed to this close to the line of scrimmage. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's only 4 guys to defend this back over here, and it's just easy pitch and catch football. Okay, they are very, very difficult to defend. And yes, South Carolina's wide receiver room is probably one of the worst in the SEC, but when Sellers is out there, he just makes everybody that much better. And 19 has some serious, serious juice, okay, as you could clearly see. That's Jacobs right there turning what looked to be not a whole lot of yards into a big gain. Here's another RPO variation right here. Sellers, this could have just been a throw the entire way. But honestly, you get exactly what you want. It kind of looked like this was a throw the entire way, but you do have the guy flying off the edge, the DB, and guess what? It's easy pitch and catch football. Now, this was a little sloppy. That could have been a hold right there by 87 in that spot, but still, Nicholas Harbor, number 8, who's their fastest receiver, does a good job blocking on the outside. Alrighty, so how good is this South Carolina offense? Well, you're about to see another ridiculous LaNorris Sellers run in the background. And the truth is, well, this offense has not been that good. It looks as if they've been great. We've mostly broken down the highlights, but number one, South Carolina offensive lines are normally a mess. Now, this really wasn't totally on them. It's just Sellers is so good at just getting out of sacks and digging themselves out of holes. Then, of course, you have this wide receiver room that many felt was a bottom 5 or so room in the SEC, and they've actually performed about where you expected them to be. Jacobs has been the star over the past couple of weeks. He also had a 100-yard game versus Missouri. Nicholas Harbor, of course, number 8, who we mentioned a little bit earlier, is an absolute freak when it comes to his speed, athleticism, and size. But Faison, the running back, there were some eligibility concerns, and now, he's with the team. He's a good back, not a great back. But this is what really stood out to me. Through 5 games, they have not put up a 6-yard per play mark yet. Okay, now they played in some weird games, but for a quarterback like this to not have put up a 6-yard per play game just yet lets you know that this defense is really what's been carrying them. They had a defensive touchdown in this game, and when you have a defensive touchdown, especially early and you build a lead, you might want to hide the playbook or just play with the lead, if you will. You're not pressing as much, but the truth is, this offense is good, okay? They're not great. This is probably one of the bottom 2 or 3 offenses, maybe even the worst Power 4 offense left on LSU's schedule, which can be looked at as a good or bad thing, right? Because LSU's got to play some loaded ones. The good news, though, is that LSU's got a loaded defense. So comment down below your thoughts, and we'll talk to you soon. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Tonight we are doing chicken.